let's look at a few actual examples of this in action, really. I'll pick recent ones. You don't need to go back 51 years for this. Gold has done this twice already in 2026. We'll start with late March, the 27th through to the 31st. Gold went from 4,390 up to 4,690, just under 7% in 3 days. And everyone was certain the bottom was in and gold would shoot up to 10K in the next week. That's what everyone was saying. I mean, they weren't really saying 10K, but they were saying that the bottom was in and it was going to make a new all-time high. And to be fair, for a little while, it did keep going. It carried on climbing all the way up to nearly 4,900 by the middle of April. So if you rushed in at the end of March, you felt like an absolute genius for about 3 weeks. And then it all dumped. It dumped to 3,940 by the end of June. That's 19% off of the April high. So what was the trap there? Simple. People saw the price fly up. They thought, I have to get in because this is going back up. And a few weeks later, it crashed. Another example was June 11th through to June 15th. Gold went from 4,061 up to 4,370. That's 7.6% in 3 days. Very similar to this current move. Then gold topped and it dumped down to 4,000 in 9 days. And look, I'm not saying that just because it did at that time that gold is going to go back to 4,000 because that's what it did in June. That would be stupid. I don't know what happens next. Nobody does. The point is a bit smaller than that, but it's a lot more useful. Every single one of these instances felt urgent at the time, but not one of them had to be bought that week. So that urgency you feel, that's the trap. It's a well-known one called FOMO. So when you see a move like this, your reaction shouldn't be, right, I'm putting everything in I can. It should just be to step back, breathe and go, okay, do I actually want to own gold at this price? And if the answer is yes, buy some. Don't buy loads, buy some, then wait. Because 96% of the time, you're going to get an opportunity to buy it cheaper. And the 4% that it wasn't cheaper, it was only marginally more expensive. Remember the example I gave you? Worst case scenario, you'd be paying $1,015 versus $1,000. But look, this is a lesson that every investor learns the hard way. Me, honestly, I only really learned it because I had good people around me. It took me about 10 years of investing before I properly accepted it. It took me a long time to learn this, way too long. And I can tell you the exact moment it happened because it was actually with silver back in 2011. So I'd been an investor for a decade by then, so I wasn't new by any means. And back then, silver went on a run that looked a lot like this one. And I wanted in. I mean, I really wanted in silver. And a bunch of older guys, my mentors really, they started telling me the same thing over and over. Don't FOMO. This exact same thing happened in the 80s to us, and every single person who chased it got hurt. And I listened to them. I mean, I had 10 years of FOMO under my belt, so I'd felt the sting many times. Then finally, the older, wiser people got through to me. It takes a lot to get through to me. I'm very stubborn. Anyway, it was horrible at first. I sat there and I watched it keep going up without me for weeks. Every day it went up was another day I felt like an idiot for listening to them. That's the bit that nobody really tells you about patience, by the way. Patience is the most important skill for an investor to have. But the bit that nobody tells you is it doesn't feel clever at the time. It feels like you're missing it right up until the moment that you're not missing it. Because then silver crashed and it kept crashing. So eventually I started buying in 2013 and I bought most of my silver over the next 7 years from there. So my average buy on silver ended up being $22. So I could have bought at $50 in 2011 and then sat there underwater for 14 years because that's how long it took for silver to get back to $50. 14 years of being wrong. Instead, I learned that patience pays, and it paid me a lot. And when I say it paid me a lot, what I mean is I like gold and silver. I want to own a lot of it. I want to own as much of it as I possibly can. So the cheaper that I can buy it, the more of it I hold. So that's the goal for me. I'm always looking to buy it cheap. And before Chad turns up in the comments going, oh my God, silver isn't going back to $20. That's not what I'm saying, Chad. I'm not saying that silver is going back to $20. I doubt it would be. I'm saying that rushing in because of FOMO is almost always the wrong decision. For the record, I think gold and silver are going to be a lot higher than they are now over the next decade. Honestly, probably even in the next few years. That's exactly why 30% of my portfolio is in metals. So I'm not arguing don't buy or that it'll go down for sure. I'm arguing that you shouldn't blindly jump in just because it went up for 3 days. I'm arguing for patience, because in this game, the turtle always beats the hare. Quick thing before you go, I've written a free guide called How to Retire Before 2036. It's a full 10-year plan for anyone starting late. Get out of debt, invest properly, retire on time. Free download, link in the description.